Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I've been busy, haven't had a chance to make videos, but we just surpassed the 6-month mark on this custom 3D printed holster. I made a video about this a while back, going through the process of how and why I made a 3D printed holster for my Staccato C. And we'll also talk about whether or not I'm going to make a change to my pistol light. We'll compare and contrast the current Chinese champion, the Olight PL2 Valkyrie, up against the Surefire X300. Is this thing all that's cracked up to be? We'll take a look, and if I decide to keep this, we'll go through the process of altering and changing this holster to receive this light. So let's get into it. Pew, pew. So I've been rocking this holster for 6 months plus. How has it fared? How has it held up? It's been awesome. It's performed exactly how I hoped it would. And the big surprise to me is how well this material has held up. My concern was after I started wearing this was eventually the material would start to relax, not splay the same when inserting the pistol, but that just hasn't been the case. So to sum it all up succinctly, this has wildly exceeded my expectations, and I plan on just rocking 3D printed holsters pretty much forever now. Let's get into the light. Let's talk about the Olight PL2 Valkyrie. When I first bought this in 2018, my first one, at the time, the Surefire X300 was the hotness. But at 300 bucks, I just couldn't do it out of principle. I was like, there's just no reason a light like this should be 300 bucks. It's an aluminum housing with like a Cree LED, a friggin' circuit board, and some batteries. Like, there's not a whole lot to it. I found this on Amazon and I was like, dude, yes. If I don't like it, I can just return it easily. Bada bing, bada boom. I've since proliferated them to basically all of my guns. I mean, this one sits on the Staccato. The Glock's got them, ARs have them, MP5s have them. So it's kind of like my de facto light of choice, or at least has been. This particular one on this Glock has about 15,000 rounds through it. And it still functions great. The only thing on this, it's the screws or the threads that receive the screws have stripped, but it doesn't really matter, as effectively they act as pins once you lock lever this in place. This guy, which is on the Staccato, has 7,000 rounds through it. Still works fantastically well. The only thing on this one, this is actually the worst of all my Olights. How it's pinned the main body to the lock levering assembly, I think is kind of worn from all the holstering and unholstering, and it's a little wiggly. Now, if they still produced and made this light, I would just buy one more of these and call it a day. But the problem is they don't make this anymore. They make this stupid version, which I have one. I bought one and one only to try it. This does go on my MP5. What's retarded about this is that it does not have a accessible battery compartment. It has a rechargeable battery and you cannot remove the batteries. So when this thing dies, you're kind of fucked. You can't just quick open it and put new batteries in, which is the only reason why I've reconsidered the X300. At least they still make this thing. When compared to the Olight, I'm gonna be honest, you guys, as an engineer and a design engineer, this Olight is superior to the Surefire in like almost every way. The door materials, the door design, how it hinges, the locking mechanism used, the sealing, everything about this, just without looking at the light output and not knowing the price, I would pick the Olight every time over this X300, like without question. It's just, I'm floored that this thing is 300 bucks. Its potential saving grace could be a light performance test. So let's compare these now. All right, we're gonna look at these two lights mainly, but we'll also throw these other lights in the mix. We've got the PL2 Valkyrie, the PL Pro rechargeable, X300 TLR 7 from Streamlight, which I don't like, and this little Olight PL2 Mini. We have a 4.5-foot golf mat, and we're positioned about 7 yards away. Up first is the Olight PL Mini 2. I think this is advertised as a 600 lumen light. You see the main hotspot there is a little bit larger than the mat. But because it's an overall lower output light, the primary and kind of secondary hotspots sort of, with the hotspot and the spill, it blends pretty seamlessly. Up next is the Streamlight TLR7 HLX. And you can see this has a narrower main hotspot, I would say. And then the spill is narrow, maybe narrower than the PL Mini, but because of its higher output, the spill looks halfway decent. So this is the Streamlight TLR7. Up next, we'll look at the Olight PL Pro Valkyrie. This is the rechargeable unit. And this does have at least to my eye, a much more noticeable yellow color shift. Like this is like a soft white, kind of like incandescent bulb, almost yellow. I'm looking at the monitor. It just doesn't seem to come through the camera how I'm seeing it. But the main hotspot is pretty good. It's slightly larger than the mat, only just. However, the secondary spill isn't as powerful. It feels lacking, and I think that's mainly due to the color. I think that yellow spill just doesn't illuminate as nicely. Next, we'll look at the Surefire X300. And I can tell you, this is the third take I've done of this. I don't like the switch on this. Camera's having a problem focusing. There it goes. Now this has a very nice hotspot that's maybe slightly smaller than the mat, just a little bit smaller. Then it does have a nice kind of secondary spill. However, there is sort of a discrete transition between the primary hotspot and kind of like the two sort of spill gradients. And I don't really like that. Also, this thing gets hot very quickly, and I just don't like the switches on this. But it's bright. I mean, it would work if it's on a pistol. And finally, we'll look at the PL2 Valkyrie with the lever lock. Now, this is the light I prefer, but they've discontinued this exact sort of model. And you can see this has a nice hot spot, just slightly bigger than the 4.5 by 4.5 foot mat. It's very bright. It has decent spill, better than the PL Pro, maybe comparable more to the TLR7. Probably doesn't have the spill from an angular perspective that the Surefire does, but it does have a more natural looking spill to me than the Surefire's, without sort of the distracting gradient between sort of layers of spill. So based on the light test you just saw, I just didn't feel that the X300 differentiated itself enough from the Olights, or the other lights really, to justify keeping it. So I basically just returned it the next day. I did not plan on the video going this way. I was going to show how great the X300 was and how I had to redesign my holster to accommodate this different light. I guess good news for me, I don't have to do anything to the holster. I'll just keep rocking the PL2 Valkyries. What I think I will do in the future, however, as I get closer to kind of the night vision game. A couple of my ARs that do have the PL2 Valkyries, I'll be putting some sort of white light IR combo on there. So maybe like the Holosun Iris seems like a pretty good fit. And that'll free up a couple PL2 Valkyries in the event that my older ones wear out. There are also a couple other Olights that I might consider in the future as well. But finding the Olight with the lock lever and the ability to remove the batteries without having like a laser on there, right now that does not exist. So we'll see what Olight does in the future, but I'm not holding my breath. Well, that's it for this video, guys. Like and subscribe. I'm working on a couple other videos here, one in which we compare a 7,000 round fired Staccato C versus one of my Glocks that has about 7,000 rounds through it as well. So we'll take them apart, disassemble them, see how the individual components compare relative to each other. That's it, guys. Peace out.